Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, postgraduate students and the other members that are part of this welcoming program. The CGS is the college that is serving other colleges when it comes to student capacitation, non-examining chairs, and supervision and supervisors capacitation. The school is responsible for training the students and also training the supervisors. The school is, the college is not an academic college, but it is a servicing college, servicing other colleges so that they will be able to help the students so that they will be able to have an easy way through their studies in master's, doctoral, and postgraduate diplomas and honors. You are all welcome. I thank you all. Over to you. Who's the next one? Research support at Unisa. Tony?
Thank you for your patience and understanding. Fellow colleagues, supervisors, and postgraduate students, we thought it is important for us to outline the structure of the college. Some of you are new at Unisa and some have been with Unisa. And we believe it's important for you to understand the College of Graduate Studies, what is it about, the structure and everything. So you have your own colleges where you registered. And the only difference with College of Graduate Studies is that it doesn't offer tuition support. Hence, we don't have students who have registered with us. Our mandate is to provide research support to both students and academic staff. And looking at the structure, it's more similar to that of other colleges. We have the executive dean, and we have the college administrator, the communication and marketing who help us with branding and other things. We also have the quality assurance and enhancement. So this department, this unit is responsible for the dashboard. I know many of you invited to the dashboard launch in previous days. And also the M&D bursary is housed in this unit. Now we also have the postgraduate admin support. So when you apply and when you register, this is the entity that is responsible for that. So from honors, postgraduate diploma, masters and PhD. And it also houses the exam unit. So after you have completed your dissertation or thesis, then this is the unit that administers that process. We have School of Interdisciplinary Research and Graduate Studies, and with Professor Mbata acting on it. And this is where our unit that provides research workshop is housed, and I will get back into it on the next slide. We have School of Interdisciplinary Research and Graduate Studies. Many of you who were in the system last year, they were receiving invitation for the online acceleration support program. So this is the school that was administering those programs. We also have Ethiopia Regional Learning Center. So this is the region outside of South Africa in Ethiopia. And we have postgraduate students there with the director, Dr. Abera, in it. And we provide support to them. Then we have two research chairs for South African Research Chair in Social Policy, Prof. Adesina, and UNESCO Chair in Nanoscience, Prof. Maza. So the reason why we are doing this is because at times, since we're dealing with workshops, people will send us bursary inquiries and registration, and we will refer them to those units or entities. and at times people don't understand the structure and think we are not responding fast to that. Hence, we saw the need to make you aware of the structure. Now, in the School of Interdisciplinary Research and Graduate Studies, you have Turnitin support. So this is a unit that is responsible with Turnitin program and academic integrity support. Then we have the research training workshops. So that's where we are, those who are assisting you with research training workshop, including now, our school have a vision, and the vision is to be a leader in provision of excellent research support for postgraduate students. Postgraduate students being those who are doing honors, postgraduate diploma, masters, and PhD. And for those who are new, you would appreciate that when we are prospective students, we ran some workshops in assisting you to complete the research outline. That was one of the requirements when you were applying. So we do support those who are registered and prospective students. We also support supervisors and non-examining chairs. Non-examining chairs are those staff who are responsible after you have sent your thesis dissertation and you are doing corrections, and these are the people who will make report and send it to the registration department to ensure that you are registered. And we also aspire to be a leader in interdisciplinary research. Remember, as College of Graduate Studies, unlike other colleges, we are servicing all students across all colleges. So we are interdisciplinary in nature, and we are aspiring to be a leader in our space in Unisa. Then how do we go about achieving this vision? So on our mission, we provide training to postgraduate students in research methodologies, covering all research traditions and the role of theory in empirical research. We provide training to postgraduate students in writing for publication from graduate projects. Those who are registering first time for this year, you will be aware that as part of your examination process, you will be requested to publish, and we have programs in place to assist you to write articles. We also build supervisory capacity across all colleges, so we are in contact with your supervisors, and the challenges that we get from your feedback, we liaise with the supervisors. For this year alone, we had 3 workshops with the supervisors, and they are starting to understand where you are going and you as the students. So we are also serve as a bridge between you and the supervisors. We offer training to non-examining chairs. I explain about them, and we promote African epistemologies and indigenous knowledge. We started this project last year as part of transformation and decolonization. And this year we had one event related to this. We'll talk about it. And we try to foster academic integrity among students and supervisors. So we have ethics workshops, workshops on using Turnitin to address similarity and plagiarism. And we also in the college address, in the school address the needs of society through engage community research. So our researchers go to communities, do research that inform the needs of the communities. Yes, and this mission and vision, they flow from the Unisa strategic plan 2016 to 2030, and they are informed and supported by the 2021 annual performance plan of the university. So out of these strategic objectives, we have 4 in the school. The first 2 are mostly on staff community engagement, which I talked about, and excellence in research. This one is related to outputs. So in our college, they are not teaching, but they are researchers and they produce output. So the strategic objective relates to that. But then for students, we have two that I will talk about them. One is promoting enabling supporting system. So what do we mean by support system and promoting them and enabling them? So it means that we provide and ensure that you have access to Turnitin. Turnitin is a similarity index software. So for those who are starting and are busy with proposal, when you hand over your proposal, it has to go through Turnitin to address plagiarism and similarity. And we will have workshops on it. And we also ensure that you access data analysis software. Yes, coming to accessing data analysis softwares, we work with ICT. And at the moment, you can access SPSS and AMOS, which are for quantitative data analysis, and Atlas. And these are the steps that you need to do. We will share this presentation with you. We also collaborate with a library, and you will also access Mendeley and RefWorks for your references. And the second one is excellence in research support. So we realign M&D policies and procedure. So our colleges, through other colleges, we work together and update policies and procedures. And we have shared the link here where you can access these policies that are related to you. Again, originality checking training program, I talk about it, that it will be offered to you. Now, in the past, we used to have workshops at main campus in Florida, and we had a strategic workshop where heads of graduate studies and college representatives came together, and we worked on integrating this workshop, meaning that for now we only have one workshop for all the students. So it is not divided where you will have workshop at main campus, at Florida, and in the regions. And we must also thank Prof. Mbata for the role she played on the integration. And this was also followed by the improvement plan, which took into account the 2017 student satisfaction survey, which I know some of you in the system completed. The workshop evaluations, these ones are important and we take them seriously, and also feedback from the stakeholders. So by early this year, we had a 2021 planner with the events. We have a table. I'll show you the events and the workshops that we have. But then maybe to touch on the events, we have the proposal defense. Last year we piloted it online, where students were given a chance to present their proposals before they submit, and many of them received a good feedback, which they incorporated into their proposal, and they went through. So we thought it is a good initiative, and we will continue with it this year, and you will receive information on how to go about it. We also work with SRC to host annual research postgraduate in Daba, and this year we are planning to have the third one. We also have Indigenous Epistemology Seminar Series Week in celebrating the Heritage Month and Week. And we intend to host student conferences where students will present their dissertation and theses in order to receive comments. And this one we'll do in collaboration with other colleges. And this year, we're also collaborating with the Directorate of Innovation and Technology Transfer to host the annual Student Research Innovation showcasing, which you will get more information about it. We also have a 3-minute PhD competition. So it's a new competition in Unisa. It also responds to equipping you with presentation skills. Because as you know, those who have the first-time students for 2021, the PhD one, In addition to you publishing, there will be oral exam, and it is our responsibility to ensure that we prepare you fully to be competent in doing that. We also have a new statistician, and she will be running a number of workshops, and we are happy to have Ms. Masondo on board. And her first workshop will be on the 20th April. You'll receive invitations on that. She'll be introducing quantitative research design, because in the past we were focused more on social sciences, and we're happy that she's on board to close the gap on the quantitative side. So these are some of the workshops that she will be providing: the statistical data analysis from basic, intermediate up until advanced, the parametric and non-parametric test. We also have the Tenetin team. They'll tell you about what it is and why do you need to have it and how can you go to access it. They'll also explain the reports and the percentages and the similarity, and that will help you to complete your proposal in time and hand it over to get ethical clearance if you need to. Now, for M&D Research Training Workshops, other colleges are also hosting and facilitating this workshop, but then the difference with other colleges is that with CGS, we lay the foundation. For example, if you have aims and objectives and research problem, we try and lay a foundation to explain what are those concepts and how do they link to each other. And when you go to theory, what is the importance of theory? How do you choose a theory that will tie in with your aims and objectives? And other colleges will come with their workshops with the discipline-specific theories. So our job is to lay the foundation. And yeah, so what I'm saying is that there's a lot of research support in Unisa, and we encourage you to attend whatever you can. With collaborations, yes, we work with other higher institutions of education. Those of you who attended the Indigenous Epistemology workshop seminars last year would remember that we had scholars across all the world from different universities. And like I said, we work with other colleges. The Research Integrity Directorate, we started to work with this directorate last year. They are mainly responsible for ethics. So, and we saw the positive results because last year there were no, rather let me say there was a decrease in ethical clearance complaints. And since we can reach students from all across the colleges, we will continue to work with them so that when students apply for ethical clearance, they know which forms to use, they know how to fill the forms, and it becomes a lot easier for the departments and the university to deal with that. We also we collaborate with student funding and bursaries, as I indicated. We collaborate with the library. Our college librarian is Ms. Napai, and she will be conducting library trainings for you. We have career counseling and development on board, and we hope going forward we will continue to work with them because, as Ms. Makanya said, as a M&D student, you may face some serious life challenges, and you need support. And these are colleagues that are competent and trained to assist you in that regard. We'll also work with telecenters. Those who are living in South Africa, there are internet cafes that are aligned or affiliated with Unisa, where you can go and access the internet services. We'll also work with the library, the regions where they have libraries, counseling, and facilitation of learning, where they offer academic literacy program, reading and writing for postgraduate. Now, these are the themes that some of the themes that we will have this year. and we're having today. So we'll have library training, promoting academic integrity, and so on. So the way the lineup it is addressing the sequence of your studies. So with chapter 1, we will address everything related to chapter 1, then moving to chapter 2, which is literature review. You will be shown how to conduct literature review, how to apply theories, and we'll move over to chapter 3, methodology, touching on the philosophical and foundational assumption, your ontology, epistemology, and axiology. They will be explained to you, and from this you will know how to apply those. And we will go further until you submit your either proposal or your dissertation or thesis. And it is through your feedback that we realized that the law students were not included, and we have included some programs to address that shortcoming. So whenever we send evaluation forms, please be honest and give us feedback. That's the only way that we can improve from our side. So this is the list of the events that we have for the year. I talk about interdisciplinarity and us being a leader, and we have lined up 6 of them for this year. You will also get invitation, and this slide will be forwarded to you, so you will see the scope. We have indigenization of postgraduate scholarship, and we had the first one in March. And the main event we'll have in April is the research methodology in Davaho. We will have a roundtable discussion with you to explain what research methodology is and how can it be applied outside of your schoolwork, you know, in your work and other places. So if you have time, please attend that one. And we will have, we'll engage further with other interdisciplinary seminars and colloquiums and the endeavors, as I mentioned. Now, what I'm projecting now is the events for April. So as you can see, we have 6 events, 5 of them being M&D Research Training Workshops. So we've started today, and we will go on with library training and academic integrity and research proposal. So those who are starting research proposal, they should attend this one. It is very important because it will talk about components and structure. And again, we will have the first workshop hosted by our statistician. So you, as I said, you will get this presentation. The links are there, so you may diarize these activities for April. Now, we are reachable, and you can contact us via email. There are telephone numbers, but like for today, remember we host workshop not only for M&D, but for honors, postgraduate diploma, and for supervisors and NEC. So sometimes you will call and think that we are not answering the phone, but then at times like today, we have 3 hours workshop. So maybe it is better to send email to this mailbox. I am aware that it has a turnaround time of 48 hours response. And if it's not related to workshops, we have a college mailbox that you can use. The departments that I talked about under the college, there are staff members under each department who have access to this. And yes, you can also use that, but then for our unit, research workshops related, this is the mailbox that you can use. We also have presence in Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook, you can like this page and request to be a member, then we will approve it. So on the Facebook page, there are notifications and there are some discussions. So as M&D students, you need one another. And this is a community of students where students talk about their challenges, and others discuss how they have overcome those, and mostly the workshop and events notifications. We also have a group on MS Teams. It's also used for notifications, but unlike Facebook, this one has a repository. So we have, like all the workshops that we'll have, we will save all the presentations and recorded videos in that. So Teams, it's more than a notification site compared to the Facebook page that we use. And our marketing colleagues have created a YouTube channel for us. So we will record every workshop and place it on YouTube for easy access for you, because we are aware that as M&D students, you have many engagements and you are busy, and at times it won't be possible to attend all the workshops, but there are measures in place that we've taken to ensure that we record the workshops so that you can get feedback on each workshop. So that is all from my side.
Hearty good morning to Professor Nglubi, Professor Barta, Tony, the staff of the College of Graduate Studies, and especially to all the master's and doctoral students. I feel both humbled and honored to be here today and to share my experiences with you. My name is Anelien Venter, and I am a doctoral student at the University of South Africa. This is my 9th year of studying at Unisa. Admit it. You probably just rolled your eyes and thought to yourself, she must be a pretty slow student. So perhaps I need to clarify. In the past 9 years, I have completed 3 degrees, and I'm currently busy with the 4th and hopefully not degree for the moment. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you ask me what the past 9 years experience have been, I'm going to demonstrate to you by showing you the paths I've traveled. If I have to reflect on my overall journey, one of the biggest challenges was the fact that none of the degrees really properly prepared me for the next one, especially in terms of workload and time requirements. I started with a bachelor's in human and social studies with psychology and archaeology as my majors. For me, this was a fairly smooth and pleasant road and well-traveled with other students doing the same module. There were plenty of road signs and what was expected of a student. And I was able to successfully 10 modules a year, work and family responsibilities, and complete this degree with distinction. Next came my honors degree in the field of applied psychology for the professional context. As you can see, it was more of a gravel road with mud and potholes. I found honors harder with regards to the workload. To me, it felt like the workload of one honors module was equal to the combined workload of all the modules of my 3rd year in undergrad study. In honors, you have less people who travel with you. We were also required to do a mini test where the process was presented to us step by step. I followed it enthusiastically and was ecstatic to receive a mark of 97% for my research report. Probably where I started falling in love with research. I also completed this degree with a distinction. Then came masters, and you're looking at this zigzag path up the mountain right now, and you're thinking, what is up here? Masters is a more solitary path, because you have to prove that you can do or can replicate research successfully. The challenge, however, were that there were no clear directions. The tutorial letter that my department still distributes to students were vague and generic. I did a master's in psychology where I concentrated on cognitive psychology and researched the role of the reminiscent bump in autobiographical memory. I conducted my research using a mixed methods approach, which is not usually done by students in my department. They either go quantitative or qualitative. Although I obtained a distinction, my master's was characterized by many challenges. Just after my proposal was complete, my supervisor retired from the university. As with all major life changes, this was a period of adjustment for him. He was in the break and kept on telling me that I was a student he was not really worried about because I would do fine. Although that's really nice to hear, it's also extremely frustrating because struggling and you're not sure one thing. The path that you see zigzagging up the cliff was frustrating and slow and made slippery by the sweat and tears of my battling my way uphill. During that time, someone very close to me was also extremely ill, and my job was a lot more demanding than during my honors. There were literally times when I felt like I was hanging by my fingernails off the edge of the path, but in the end, it was all worth it because it gave me the skills to tackle my PhD with courage. So, currently, I am working on my degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Psychology, my PhD. I have once again taken the difficult part as I'm doing a meta-analysis and combining 7 fields into the psychology of aging or older people and well-being for the ontology. In a nutshell, my research examines the effect of place attachment and support on the well-being of older adults. I'm hoping that my research will enhance our understanding for the well-being of older adults from a psychological perspective. So looking at the pictures, you ask yourself, it looks narrow with no handrails, but why the big deal about a doctoral degree being so difficult? To answer this, I want to use the following quote that says, research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. This is what makes it so difficult and so important at the same time. The doctoral degree has to produce original work that will contribute to the knowledge pool. Path progressing up the hill gets narrower and steeper, and that's why very few people attempt it and succeed. In the beginning of 2020, South Africa had only, and this is actually quite a shocking figure to me, 46 doctoral graduates per 1 million people. That is negligible, just about. So, if you're looking at the steep uphill and at the hanging stairs, this is the path that I'm on at the moment, and ahead of me, I still have to conquer those hanging stairs. And it seems it's not for the faint of heart. So, wish me well. If you ask me what keeps me going, I have to admit that knowing I will make a difference and the view from the top motivates me to overcome any uphill struggles. So, enough about me. Let's talk about your journey. Allow me to share a couple of travel tips with you. The most important thing I want you to remember is that if you can dream it, you can do it. See yourself at your graduation ceremony. Close your eyes just a second and imagine yourself walking onto that stage. You can do this. You can reach your goal. You can get your degree. Secondly, I want to share some sage advice that my supervisor gave me when we first spoke about my doctoral studies. He told me, Anelien, choose a topic that you are passionate about. It is too much work and effort to spend on something you only feel lukewarm about. So, for all of you doing your proposals this year, find your passion. Remember, this is your degree. You are now becoming the expert in your field. That's why it's important to find your own academic voice. Take responsibility, push yourself. I look at the forums and I see students complaining. I understand that sometimes it is administrative problems or a supervisor who does not respond. But it is still your responsibility to get a reply, to follow up, to make sure that you've done your best. Make sure you know the person responsible for the master's and doctoral students in your department. Make sure you know the process that is needed to get an answer. No student is an island. And this is really important because we need to understand that although this is a solitary journey, you cannot do this by yourself. You need the support of your family and friends in order to do this. If we say a PhD is equal to a second job, then it's not something that you could do just on and off. And it's going to take a toll on your family life, your husband, your wife, your kids, your parents, your friends. And they have to be on board. They have to be supportive. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard for you to succeed. Also, build a good professional relationship with your supervisor. The supervisor is your lifeline. It's your guidance. It is not somebody that's going to spoon feed you. Your supervisor is going to expect you to take responsibility, take this seriously. So look at the corrections that they suggest. Make the corrections. Don't just accept all the track changes. Think about it. Give them feedback. Take initiative. And lastly, build an academic support base for yourself. Fellow students, even friends. It doesn't need to be somebody in your field. It can be somebody in another field as well. I am extremely lucky. Over the past years, I have built up a small group of friends who I meet up with on a weekly basis, on Skype, on WhatsApp, even just through correspondence. I share my planning, they share theirs, and we keep each other. Even if they or just listen to you discussing your research, it is so important that the more you talk about your research, the easier it becomes. They're saying a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Start immediately. Do not leave your proposal or your dissertation or your thesis until June, July, August, September. Planning is the key. Plan backward, decide when you want to submit, plan the activities and the tasks in detail, plan ahead to do weekly planning, plan for every day. If you just spend an hour a day on your studies, it will make a world of difference. Remember, you are on a journey and traveling means moving forward. It doesn't have to be big steps. Every day. Keep moving. A linear process, it's an iterative process to re-examine what you've done. Being a reflexive reader means you are analyzing research which leads to insight. Being a reflexive reader means you are self-assessing, which helps you to question your own attitude, your thought processes, and your assumptions. No matter what, never ever quit. You've come too far. You've worked too hard. Make sure you know when, where, and how to get help if you need it. We all get to a point in our studies where we feel lost and vulnerable. You're not the only one. It is okay to feel like that for a time, but a short time. You cannot sit down in the middle of the road and stay lost. Remember, only you can control how you react to any situation. And lastly, they say there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. So, please, please, please do not try to take shortcuts with your degree. It shows. And examiners will pick it up. They have done hundreds, some of them thousands of theses and dissertations that they've marked. I recently saw students asking for an app they can use to paraphrase for them. I was horrified. If in the last few weeks, before you have to submit, you need an app to paraphrase for you. It means that you haven't made this your own. You have not become the expert you're supposed to be. Do the work. It will be worth your while. Thank you very much. I wish you a smooth and successful research journey. Goodbye.
So, colleagues, Ms. Dezel is from Counseling and Career Development, the Central Unit. And she is a colleague also who is competent in ICT. Before we went E&E, she already had repository of podcast and everything related at DCCD. So, Ms. Dezel, I know you are a counselor and you've been an e-counselor way, before we get into this thing. And we like your interdisciplinary nature of doing counseling using technology. But let me not waste time and give you the platform.
Good morning, everyone, colleagues, as well as students. Thank you, Tony, for the introduction. I was invited on behalf of the Directorate for Counselling and Career Development. My name is Lisa Dezel. As Tony said, my official job title is an e-counsellor, but also for full disclosure, I've been a Unisa student, I think since 1996. So it's been many years with Unisa. I'm also currently busy with my PhD, and it is really a pleasure for me to share some of the support that counselling and career development can offer you for your master's and doctorate journey. So in this presentation, I will just touch on how we manage challenges. Then I'll also talk a bit about the why, the what and the how of your postgraduate journey and connecting with others and getting support. So this is what my presentation will focus on. So here's a typical breakdown of the PhD journey. So you submit your proposal, you get accepted to do your research. If you need to find funding, you will find that if applicable. You do lots of reading and writing. You have a cycle of submitting work to your supervisor and getting feedback, making changes. You hand in your thesis or dissertation. You are examined and you get feedback. As we've heard from Tony, there will also now be oral examinations or defences. You make corrections where needed, you get final approval, and yeah, you graduate. So this is normally the list of activities that are given to students who are embarking on this journey. This is what you will need to do on your journey towards a PhD or a master's degree. In reality, as we also heard from Ms. Venter, is that you will feel lonely, you'll feel isolated, frustrated, you will feel lost and overwhelmed. There will be times that you feel that you don't belong. Some people call that the imposter syndrome. You will often feel that you are not good enough, that you're not supposed to be here. Sorry for that noise. You will sometimes feel guilty that you are not making enough progress. As Ms. Venter also shared, your supervisor can resign or retire and therefore cannot continue to support you, and you need to find a new supervisor. You are working full-time and you have to pay for your own studies. Ms. Venter also shared, I think during her honours year, that she had somebody who was ill. And then you have parents, children, siblings who need full-time support. You can lose documents, you can lose even your complete dissertation or thesis electronically, etc., etc. So in reality, there are a lot of aspects that impact on our master's and doctorate journey. So it is quite normal to feel overwhelmed, also to feel frustrated and anxious when you encounter challenges, especially if you have not planned for them. I guess all of us embark on this journey feeling very positive and motivated that we are going to finish it. but unfortunately life happens along the way. So therefore, it's important for us to look at effective ways of viewing challenges. So the first thing is to acknowledge that there is a challenge. You need to identify the things that you are in control of and the things that you cannot change. You need to focus on what you can control and also to identify relevant support. So just to give you an example of things you can control versus things you cannot control. So remember, I spoke about that there are things you can control despite your challenges, and it's important for you to spend more time to strengthen what you can control. So for example, let's say you receive detailed feedback from your supervisor about your academic writing ability, and you then decide to get support for improving these skills. So you access the support through, for example, the College for Graduate Studies or the academic literacy services available at the Unisa regions. You can also ask fellow students to read through your writing before you submit it to your supervisor. And this then helps you to manage your writing process more effectively. So this is an example of something that you can control, and you've made plans to control that challenge that you're having. Then in terms of things that you cannot control, so as you focus more on the things you cannot control, you can become more aware of your challenges, and you could feel overwhelmed and even hopeless. So an example of that would be that you are continuously worried about what your supervisor thinks about you, and you even avoid contacting him or her for support. So you can acknowledge the impact of this on your study journey, but if you think about this and focus on it, you may become even more overwhelmed, and this will definitely have an effect on your motivation to study. Does this sound familiar? Colleagues, just excuse me for 1 second.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, while we're waiting for Ms. Daisel, please keep on posting your question and comments. And after a presentation, we'll take a 10-15 minutes break, and coming back, we will attend to those questions.
Tony, while we're also waiting for Ms. Daisel, there's one question, actually there are several questions regarding the postgraduate bursaries email address. I will share it on the chat, but I'll say it now. It's cgs-pgb@unisa.ac.za. I will share it on the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Timo.
My apology for that. Let me continue.
Yeah, it's okay, Ms. Daisel.
Thank you. So these are some of the things that we often hear, or that even myself I think about, is that I never have enough time to study or to rest or to spend with my family. I don't know where my time goes, or nobody could do all I have to do within the limited time I have. So we constantly feel that we don't have enough time to manage all our things that we need to get to, including our studies. However, most of the time we may not realize that we do have enough time that we need for our studies in our schedule, but it is maybe a matter that we have not reflected on how we are using our time. So I will share some examples with you of how we can reflect on how we manage our time. So in the next activity that I will show you, we need to look at if we can account for a week's worth of time. So we will make a list of all the activities that we need to complete in a week, and then we estimate how many hours a week we spend on each. So here's a table that one could use to do this activity. So if we look at this person's life, there are quite a number of tasks that they spend time on each week. So there are basic things like sleeping and eating and personal hygiene, This person is also working, they do volunteer service, they have chores, they attend classes, they are studying, they need to get transport to get to work or the library, and a number of other things. But it's important for you to take some time to look at the number of hours per week that you spend on the different activities. So if you now add the total and this number is larger or smaller than 168, you need to just go back and adjust the numbers to be more realistic, because remember 168 is the total number of hours in a week. So if your estimate is higher, you need to go back through the list and then just adjust the numbers to be more realistic. But if your hours are fewer than 168, don't just go back and add more time in certain categories. Instead, ponder this question: where does the time go? So the outcome of this is that you can learn to manage your time more successfully. The key is really to be realistic. You need to check how accurate the number of hours are that you write down. So you can test this by logging the time you spend on different activities for a week, just to check. You may be surprised that you spend a lot more time on activities that may not be important or priorities right now. So although we all wish we had more time, the important thing is what we do with the time that we do have. So look back now at the number of hours you wrote in the previous table for a week of studies. Do you have enough time for your studies? So it's very important that you look at all your activities and identify where you will have to let go of things so that you can get more time for your studies if that is not enough at the moment. So in the next table, I'm just going to go to that. We need to make a list of, this is now our ideal timetable. So we've got activities that are not negotiable. So for this person, it was studying, working, doing volunteer service, and then the normal things like eating, personal hygiene, chores, transportation, and then this person is also prioritizing attending research workshops. And then the discretionary activities are those activities that you would like to participate in, but maybe you will not have enough time to do so, or you will have less time. You then need to look at the total number of hours for your non-negotiable activities, and then the number of hours per week for your discretionary activities. So you will possibly find that you will have less time for discretionary activities in the past. That's part of time management, and it's also important to keep your goals and priorities in mind. You also need to reflect on what support you need to buy more time. For example, if you need to support your children while they are doing homework, you can sit and do some reading or writing while they are busy doing their homework. As a family, you could have a list to share the household duties. You could get somebody to come and look after the children, for example, while you're going to the library. So it's important for you to think, is there support that you can get to buy some more time for you? The other part is really to learn how to use the hours you do have as effectively as possible, especially the study hours. So the goal of time management in the study scenario is that you will get 3 hours of studying done in 3 hours, and then you will also have time for other activities. So it's really looking at how effectively you are using your time. So now I'll focus a bit about the why, the what, and the how of your postgraduate journey. So when we embark on this journey, and even before, it's important for us to reflect on, why am I starting with this postgraduate journey? What am I hoping for? And also, how do I see myself and my life being different once my qualification is completed? So something to keep in mind is that there's no right or wrong reason for starting with your postgraduate journey, but it's important from the start that you are quite clear in terms of these questions, and that will then also guide you and help you to establish goal as well as motivate you when challenges arise. Then the what of your journey, what do you need to do? So in other words, which activities do you need to complete to work towards completing your qualification? What support do you need and how do you negotiate the support? And also how do you manage challenges? So it's important also to understand what are the things that you would need to complete so that you can manage your journey effectively. Then the how, those are questions that focus on how will you complete your qualification, what are the tools that you need to complete your qualification, and also what project management strategies do you have in place to help you manage your planning. So I'm just going to share a very simple project management tool that you can help. It actually helps with goal setting, but it also then helps you to have a plan. We need to keep in mind, as we all know, that time is a finite resource. So having a plan and being organized helps you to use your time effectively. So this method is called the Kanban method. If you would want to read more, you could just Google it. But it's a very simple project management technique that works quite effectively for research studies as well. So as you can see in the image, there's 3 columns. So you've got a to-do column, you've got a doing column, and you've got a done column. So in your to-do column, you will write down the tasks that you need to complete. It's important that you are very specific and you break down bigger tasks into smaller activities. So for example, if you write down chapter 1, you need to write chapter 1. That's a very big task that you need to complete. But you can break it down, for example, that you need to, in order to complete writing chapter 1, I need to read through my research proposal again. I need to read 10 saved articles about whatever topic you are studying. I need to add new summaries to the chapter 1 draft, and I need to send chapter 1 to supervisor for feedback. So you'll see there are a lot of smaller tasks that would then have the outcome that you need to complete chapter 1. Then in the, so those are the things, the activities that you need to put in your to-do column. Then in the doing column, as you complete activities from the to-do column, you will then move, in this case, this person is using post-its. So you will move that paper from the to-do column to the doing column. So these are the tasks that you are currently actively working on. And it's also important to try to limit the number of tasks in your doing list so that you can rather focus on completing tasks. And then once an activity is completed, you will then move the post-it to the done section. The tools that you will need for this, for example, you could use an A3 or A2 poster board, and you will need some post-its. So on the poster board, you could then just draw the columns such as illustrated here, and then you will use your, you will put that up against the wall, and you will then move your post-its on that board. There are also free online or mobile apps such as Trello, ClickUp, and Asana. So those are all tools that you can use to facilitate this process, but using, for example, an app on your phone or then on the web. So the weekly planning is then about what specific things you would want to complete on each day in any given week. And a weekly plan allocates specific time slots to what you need to do. So in this example, the student is working full-time. So for their kind of master weekly plan, they've allocated time for studying very early in the morning. Then they prepare for work, they travel, they go to work. In the evenings they come home and they've got dinner and family time. And then they've got another slot of sitting down and working on their studies from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And then on the weekends, they've allocated a study slot on Saturdays and then also a study slot on Sundays. And on Sunday evenings, this person also does revision and planning for the next week. So it's very important that you have such a weekly schedule. We can call this a master weekly schedule because you can see there's no specific activities. This is just to block out time in your diary that you know you need to sit down and work on your studies. In a weekly timetable, you would then also use the tasks that you've identified for your project and be specific. For example, on Tuesday night, I will sit down and I will read 2 articles, and you specify which articles. So, of course, on paper, this all looks very simple, but what if something happens that I did not plan for? Remember, both Ms. Venter and I spoke about the things that could derail you temporarily. So it's important that you acknowledge that you are feeling down and that you may be discouraged. And you need to be compassionate, you need to be kind to yourself, and also just remember that it's quite normal to feel down and discouraged should your journey be interrupted. You can make a short list of the most important things that you need to do. So for example, what needs to be done today or in this week, and then you just focus on the short list. And plan that you do not need to do everything today. So start with small tasks on your short list and focus on the first things first. And importantly, to remember why you care. So reflecting again on why does it matter to me to complete my qualification, and doing this kind of reflection regularly should then motivate you to start writing again. So just to come back to the overall results of planning, it helps us to cope with academic anxiety, keeps us motivated, it allows us to maintain balance between what is required versus what is available, and it could also eliminate time wasters because we are aware of them. So that is why it's quite important to give some thought to how you manage your tasks and your time effectively. So I will just shortly also talk about note making. So in your journey, it will be important for you to keep track of your reading and your thinking. There are many different note making techniques. Hopefully, as you were doing your undergraduate and your honours studies, you would have experimented with some of these. For example, you could try mind maps to organize your thinking and to keep track of what you're writing. So it's important just to revisit those note-making techniques to help you keep track of your reading and thinking. Then, of course, we have tools such as Mendeley and RefWorks that Tony also spoke about earlier. And these are very useful tools for reading, making notes, and very importantly, keeping track of your references. And then it's also important for you as part of your journey to keep track of your development, to regularly reflect on your study journey, to reflect on what happened, how it made you feel, what you learned from a specific situation, and how you would want to do things differently. And then, very importantly, to think about how you could manage feedback. So feedback is there to help you think about your research and your writing processes. You will get a lot of feedback on this journey. So part of this process is to learn how to receive feedback that helps you to develop as a scholar. So it's important when you receive feedback to take time to understand the feedback, to take steps to reflect on the feedback and how you can incorporate the feedback in your journey. Remember, you don't always have to take feedback, everything that somebody else says, and incorporate it, but it is important to think about why, for example, your supervisor gave you specific feedback and how you could respond to that, or then how you could incorporate this feedback to help you develop. You could, for example, make notes of the feedback you received and then how you plan on addressing it. So part of this journey is to build resilience. Life cannot be the same after completing your postgraduate journey, and changing is hard. Then I will also just share with you a bit about well-being and taking care of yourself. This is also a very important part of your journey. So how will you know that you are stressed? So look out for signs such as chronic tiredness, palpitations, nausea, feeling down and detached from yourself and others. Maybe you're having difficulty concentrating, being short-tempered all the time, withdrawal from others, sleep disturbances. So stress can be helpful. It helps us to increase productivity, but too much stress over a prolonged period affects our physical and mental states. So how to manage when you feel that you are stressed. So it's important for you to talk to others, for example, your family, your friends, professionals, your supervisor. It's also recommended that you engage in activities that help to reduce stress or that have been shown to help to reduce stress. So these could be things such as meditation, deep breathing, doing things that brings you joy, reminding yourself that you are not alone, in other words, connecting with others, and also physical activities such as swimming, yoga, walking, running, etc. And then, of course, you would also want to talk to professional counselors. So contacting the Directorate for Counseling and Career Development at Unisa would then also be a way for you to manage the emotions or the feelings related to this journey that you are on. It's also important to think that often when we are in need of support, it's not possible for us to clearly articulate how we need to get support. So you need to ask questions, you need to be clear about the support that you seek. It's also helpful for you to prepare for conversations. For example, if you make an appointment with your supervisor, to make a list of all the questions and the things that you would want to discuss. You also need to commit to and show a willingness to get support and allow people to help you. That's also very important. And you could also think about that in order for you to get support, it would also be important for you to give support to others. So being involved, for example, in peer support programs could really help you to get support, but then also to give support to others. It's also important for you to know where to find support. So, for example, reviewing information about support services at Unisa, such as the information from the College of Graduate Studies, but also information on my Unisa. You could also attend workshops such as these, writing groups, etc., that will help you to have more conversations about the shared experience of becoming a scholar with people who are walking this journey with you. It's also important for you to surround yourself with supportive people and also to find a mentor. So this is not your supervisor, but this person can be your mentor in terms of your processes and just a sounding board for the challenges that you're experiencing as part of this journey. It's also important for you to prioritize self-care, and there are many resources and support that you can get online. Just one example of this is a website called thethesiswhisperer.com, which they've developed also a lot of academic reading and writing resources, but also talking about the challenges and how to manage the challenges of being a research student. So if you would want to get counselling support through Unisa, you could send us an email to counselling@unisa.ac.za, and you are also welcome to book an online appointment with a counsellor, and the website address is also there on the screen. Thank you very much for listening to me today, and I hope to speak soon to some of you.